Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Inside the Force, the Star Wars podcast where we tap into hundreds and hundreds of holocrons to give you the knowledge and insight of everything we know. Right, Case? Everything.
Right.
Check us out at InsideTheForce.com. I will warn you, I will warn the people that actually go there and do stuff, and that we're getting ready to go into this little modification. I think we're going to change up the site a little bit. But you can still follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel where you can watch all of our content. So this show that you're hearing on the podcast, you could actually go to YouTube and watch it. Got some other titles that we've put out there right now. Got some council sessions going. Got some Beyond the Sagas going where we dive into the expanded universe. We got another series that we're working on getting out there very soon. So go check out all of that stuff. I thought we intro some of this, Case instead of wait till the end.
Sure.
But again, yeah, thank you everybody for coming back. A little bit of news coming out this past week and a half. We'll dive into that, of course, and then we will actually talk a little bit about Cassian Andor. Wanted to talk about a little bit more. I don't think we've ever really dived into that series because we've heard nothing about it.
Right.
So it's a good time to actually start speculating really what we're going to get at that thing. So we'll talk about that in our kind of main topic here at the end of the show. So first things first, though, Case, did you hear, there's a lot of talk right now with Disney Plus, and I guess one bit of news that I forgot to write down that we should probably mention. Did you hear that they've actually, I think they reached their 5-year goals already?
I saw that, yeah.
In less than a year?
Their subscriber count, yeah.
Yes. 65 million subscribers, I think, is where they're at now. Incredible. Unfortunately, maybe it has something to do with COVID a little bit, everybody being at home. But I gotta believe that, and of course the other stat came out was Mandalorian was the highest demanded show out of the new streaming services that came out. So Disney Plus, I think it was HBO Max, Apple TV, or Apple's streaming service. NBC's Peacock, a couple others. So, and I saw the chart. Mandalorian was by far doubled, I think, anything else. So that had something to do with it. I'm sure the return of the Clone Wars had something to do with it. But to be honest, if you think about it, of course, everybody knows Disney is involved with Pixar, is involved with Marvel. Of course, you got the Nat Geo stuff that's on there too, right? But to be honest, I don't know if you've noticed, but that buyout with Fox has added so much more movie content.
They're adding stuff like every day. It seems like new stuff. They just added the Peanuts movie the other day, which we've been watching a lot. Jay, I haven't seen it yet, and I didn't know it was a Fox movie, but they're adding stuff quite a bit now. It's cool.
All the X-Men movies have made their way up there. And then of course you have the entire Simpson library, the Simpsons library.
Yeah.
So you've got content, I think, that was unexpected when you first signed up for Disney Plus, and now you're getting all this stuff. So I think it's obviously going to pay off, I think, in the end, especially when you start getting all these Star Wars series that we're talking about as well. And then Marvel, once they start kicking in their series, it's they'll get the 100 million subscribers very shortly, I think.
Yeah.
Especially at that price point. Now, I just made the switch. I've had DirecTV for a long time. I just canceled my DirecTV and switched to the Hulu Disney Plus bundle.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing Hulu Live, and then I've still got the Disney Plus. But if you don't do the Hulu Live, I mean, that $12.99 a month for Disney Plus, ESPN if people want sports, and then of course Hulu. They're a library content. You don't get live, but you get their library content. I mean, that's a heck of a price. I mean, because you're paying what? I think it's $7.99 for the standard monthly for Disney Plus, right?
I can't think of what it is a month, but because I do like the annual thing.
I think it's $7.99. Right. But you got a discount, so I think you paid $70 for the entire year, which comes out to about $5-6 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but the Hulu thing is a pretty good deal. So, there's actually a couple people on Twitter I noticed asking about, is it worth switching to Hulu and all this stuff? Hulu's good, and it's worked out. I've been on it for about a week now. It's worked out pretty well.
It's good.
But in
television selection,
and one thing I know you're a fan of that I can only find on Hulu's library is the entire Smallville collection.
I know. Yeah.
I'm going to start watching that here soon. Okay.
Which is weird, but yeah.
It is weird. I don't know why it's not on HBO or DC's UGC's app, but somehow someone
got a good deal.
Got the rights to it. Yep. Anyway, I saw on a brief article out online too that again, going back to Disney Plus, the talk about Disney Plus and the rumors that there is a Solo spinoff coming on, right? We've heard Kira, we've heard Maul, we've heard Lando, but the one thing that is also out there is Ron Howard apparently saying that he hasn't heard anything, or there's no talks about a Solo 2. Now, again, that doesn't mean there's not a series being discussed and he's not involved in the series. But according to him, there's not a Solo 2 in the development stage at Lucasfilm. Are you buying that? Are you believing that pretty much?
Yeah, geez, you have to read between the lines a little bit because I don't think I believe that they aren't prioritizing a direct sequel to the film. That's like maybe the main character of Solo. I totally believe that they're now going to invest in these other side characters like a Lando show or and I feel like the Infus Nest rumor isn't really getting a lot of traction, but I think that would be a good direction. Because you're only hearing really about Lando or like you said, Kira and Maul. But I mean, a direct sequel to, because frankly, I think now that they started the path with Solo, like Han Solo's character, like you can tell more with him now because he isn't quite. There's obviously time there, and I don't think that there's still some unfinished business a little bit now that they started that. But honestly, if they didn't make any more Han Solo centric stories, I think you're okay because again, you have Han Solo's story later on in the films, but these new characters, that's where I feel like they really should be focusing, and it sounds like that they might be. When Ron Howard says no Solo 2, I just take it to mean, well, that just means that they're just not going to make a direct sequel to the film. It'll just be like the rumors have been saying spinoffs and Crimson Dawn themed episodes or shows and just smuggler ones. Maybe it's centric around Lando. That would be pretty cool. But there's definitely content out there that they could be doing. They could be working on. Because rumors, several shows in development.
I know several, and I think that I agree with you, and I think the point of Solo, regardless even if it killed at the box office, I'm not sure that we even would have gotten a Solo 2 anyway, because I think that at least what we've heard was these Star Wars stories were contained stories. They were just kind of one-offs, right? I mean, I think there would have been maybe a spin-off movie instead of continuing the Solo thing. It could have been a Crimson Dawn thing or a Maul thing, but because everything that's mentioned or that you think about as far as Han Solo when it comes down to the original trilogy, I mean, what is it? It's the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. The how does Chewbacca and Han Solo meet?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how did he become such a great pilot? Right? And all those questions are relatively answered in the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean? Yeah, you had those good. Those moments landed really well too. Like when he sat down on the Falcon, when it's him and Chewie piloting for the first time.
Yes,
those moments hit very well. Like the only other thing is Chewie getting his bowcaster. That's like the only other question.
Well, and then probably the only other question or incident that is mentioned that haunts Solo, right, is the whole dropping the shipment.
Yeah.
Like what circumstances was that? But do we need to know that? Probably not.
Right. No, probably not. No. It's really it's just again like they started the momentum now with this idea of Kira and Han. I feel like that there would be unfinished. I mean, you kind of get the idea that Han is okay with her leaving. Like he doesn't seem too depressed by it. It's been a while since I've seen the movie actually, but from what I remember, it's like he kind of just anyway lets her go after he sees her. It's like okay, that's what she's gonna do now. But still, he isn't quite like the movie didn't end quite with the Han Solo of he's just a callous kind of a gunslinger type guy, that we're somewhat led to believe he is in the beginning of A New Hope. Like he doesn't, he's not like he has that conversation with Infant Nest where he's like, I'm not the hero kind of a thing, but he's still a very lovable guy. It's like like at the beginning of A New Hope, he's very much like he's insulting people. He's callous. He doesn't want to really make friends. He's skeptic. It feels like a few levels further than the Han Solo that we saw in his Solo film. So again, there looks like there's a little more character arc that you can tell with him, but again, like I don't think it's needed. Honestly, I don't.
Yeah, but I think the decision you see him make, at the end of Solo, where he helps Empus Nest. I mean, that explains, I think, and then contributes to him coming back in A New Hope at the end of A New Hope, right? I mean, he does do good, even though I feel like it does translate in A New Hope in a sense where he's trying to be the bad guy, but in the end, he's not really the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like just like at the end of Solo, when she's like, "You need to come with us," he's like, nah, that's not me. Yeah. I'm a bad guy, right?
Well, it's like earlier when he talks to Kira. It's like, no, I'm an outlaw, whatever. Yeah. She's like, no. She really is like questioning him. Yeah, you're the hero. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not the hero.
So I think the only thing which I think you could fill in with either a book or a comic series, is how does he get involved directly with Boba Fett? Or no, I'm sorry, not Boba Fett, with Jabba.
Yeah.
What jobs is he doing with Jabba? At what point does he drop the shipment? Meaning, how long has he had a bounty on his head before we get to A New Hope?
Yeah.
But then it comes into that whole situation where we talked about for a year leading up to the movie is, how comfortable are we with the timeline getting closer to A New Hope, and it's not Harrison Ford that's playing Han Solo, right? I think we're cool with the 10-year gap right now, but as you start getting closer, it starts getting really hard. So anyway, I agree with you. I don't think a Solo movie sequel is happening. I do think there might be some Disney Plus series, and I think that it's possible Alden still could show up in something. I just don't think it's a movie. But
I mean, I don't think it would be too far fetched to have him be a secondary character in a show. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like a Luke Skywalker situation where they were afraid. The story is they were afraid to write him in Episode 7 because every time he would come into the film, it would all of a sudden become a Luke Skywalker story. Right. That's why they held him off to the very end of the film.
Right.
But it's like Also you had Mark Hamill. So it's like, if Harrison Ford was in a show, you would be so focused on Harrison Ford. But Alden is newer to the role, and he's younger, so he's not at the level that we see him as in A New Hope. So it's like if there was a smuggler centric show, or if it was a Lando centric show, Han can kind of pop in, like you said, and I think that's fine. I think the quality of that version of Han Solo is he's not necessarily doesn't always have to be a leading man, and he wouldn't take a spotlight away from the leading character if he was in a supporting role of a show. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think
he could pop in whenever, even if it's Crimson Dawn, because that was always conversation. It's like, well, after Solo, when we see Maul, it's like, okay, are they going to do a Solo 2? And does that mean Han Solo has to fight Darth Maul now, or like they can never meet? And it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily have to happen. You're not predetermined for that encounter to happen. They can kind of come close to each other, but Han Solo isn't necessarily the figure, the central figure of this era. So there's all kinds of ways that they can go with it.
Yeah, agreed. So that was Ron Howard out there. In some Mandalorian news, the Mandalorian novel that we were expected to get this year has now been pushed back almost a year. Yeah. It's not coming out till fall of 2021. Right. There is some tweets by the author out there saying that there have been some updates to it, but it's not, it's nothing to do with necessarily Lucasfilm. It's just a way to best serve the content, and they're pushing back the release. So we're not getting that novel until fall 2021. And then the good news is that the season 2 premiere of The Mandalorian will still be in October. We don't have a date yet. And a trailer is rumored to be coming out sometime this month. Probably at the end of August, right around the time we would have got it, probably at Celebration. So I do think it'll come this month. I think they are editing that, and they're getting that out there here shortly. So, and I think they have to. I think the hype of it is still pretty real. I know I'm going to go back and rewatch the season here shortly, and I know I'm still helping do the Mandalore podcast over there with Cyber Ren, and we're gearing up to do a couple of pre-shows before the season premiere. So I think it's out there still. I think it's still pretty popular. All the merchandise finally hit.
Right.
And the Disney stores now are back open, and there's all kinds of T-shirts and Baby Yoda stuff all over the place still. But I think it's going to be I think this season 2 is going to be pretty head turning. I think it's going to go in directions that we're not expecting.
I mean, there's definitely hype, like you said, for that. And, it's so much so that it's, in a way, you have to be worrisome, because a lot of Star Wars fans out there, including myself, would just hype yourself so much. Like, that was the problem with Last Jedi, was you just hype yourself so much for it, and it turned out the way it did. But same thing could happen with Mandalorian. It's just hyping yourself up so much for it, but the sequel usually isn't as good as the first one. That's kind of the cliche, but we'll see. But yeah, if all these cameos or rumors or other characters and these, all these pieces are actually going to happen, then it should, I think, lead itself to becoming a pretty heavy season.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I believe season 2 of Clone Wars was better. Season 2 of Rebels was better.
Filoni's probably breaking that, yeah.
So he's got a good trend going, Yeah. So we'll see. Season 2 coming in a couple months here.
Yeah, if anybody can do it, it could be Filoni and Favreau. They could break that old tradition.
So, but book titles, just to remind everybody what's coming in books. Poe Dameron's Freefall just came out this past week on August 4th. I have not dived into that yet. I don't know if you have either yet.
No.
Hannah, one of our Inside the Force co-contributors here, has already put a review out. I posted that out there. If anybody wants to see a spoiler-free review of that, they can go to InsideTheForce.com and click on that. It's a really good article that she wrote about it. I didn't realize, because it's funny because, when it comes down to the movies and Mandalorian or any series, I stay away from I stay away from spoilers. I try to stay away from spoilers anyway, but I do consume all the trailers, all the TV spots, whatever, read up on some articles here and there. But it's funny because the one thing I do consciously stay away from is book reviews and book
excerpts.
Excerpts. Yes. Like, I actually want to dive into a book or listen to it on audiobook without knowing anything. So I say that realizing that I didn't pick up ever that the Poe Dameron book, takes place. I knew it took place prior to The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was actually the story about the group that he's, that we find out about with the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the smuggler, spice runners.
Yeah,
I knew it was around that time because I've been having the question. And that's why I can't wait to read it and to see, is because for me, continuity wise, they introduced that idea in Rise of Skywalker that he, through conversations that he had with Zori, that he pretty much was a spice runner and then went to become a pilot for the New Republic.
Yes.
No, sorry. He went to join the Resistance. He went from a spice runner to Resistance, as said in the Rise of Skywalker. But through,
did he leave the
that's the thing. Like through,
he's always been a pilot, I think, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like through the expanded universe canon, the canon expanded universe, we know that he was a pilot for the New Republic and then became fighting a pilot for the Resistance. So it's to me, it's a contradiction there. So I want to see what this book, how this book leans, and how it maybe fixes things or just kind of retcons something. That's just the kind of OCD of me, is wanting to figure that out.
Yeah. Hannah spoke very highly of it. She breezed through it. She said it was an easy read, breezed right through it. So I've got to finish a Shadowfall first. I'm in the middle of that before I get to this. So, but anyway, other books coming. The Clone Wars book, with the additional stories and retellings of the series, that's coming August 25th. So still this month. A week later, you got Thrawn Ascendancy coming out. That's out there September 1st. The Empire Strikes Back from a Certain Point of View is November 10th. And then, of course, in January starts a bunch of the High Republic novelizations with Light of the Jedi and A Test of Courage. One other thing that dropped that I got through already is the Dr. Aphra audio book, audio drama presentation. Yeah. Really good. It's making me want to go back and reread the comics. I had read those comics. It was it's basically adapted from the Vader series.
Yeah.
That first came out when this new canon was introduced, because Dr. Aphra is introduced in those books before she actually gets her own spinoff. So it's that storyline of her helping Vader discover who actually destroyed the Death Star. Right? Yeah. So it takes place shortly after A New Hope. And it ends up being really good. Obviously, the voice cast is fantastic. So we'll once you and Hannah get into that, and we can have a little more deep dive into it. But I do recommend it. I do advise everybody to go get it. It's a quick listen. I think it's 5.5 hours, maybe.
Nice.
Couple times of mowing the grass, you can get through it.
Right. I need to get noise canceling headphones, because sometimes some audiobooks I can't do because I can't get the volume right.
Oh, right.
While I'm mowing, because the mowing's too loud and the
You know what helps me? Yeah, you know what I use is the what's the skull type headphones where it kind of sinks in your ear.
Yeah, jeez.
And you know what I'm talking about?
Since right inside of your head.
It's the soft, the soft tabs where you put them in. Yeah, these I can't. The earbuds are hard. You can't cancel out everything.
Yeah.
The skull type ones that you put in, like cancels everything. I can't hardly even hear my mower.
Big thing. I'm gonna get a big.
Yeah,
huge. I can't hear a thing. Speaking of the Clone Wars book, though, I think it might have been yesterday. Star Wars put out a short list of some of the audio book authors or narrators, and many of them are the Clone Wars actors.
That's right. I heard about that.
Incredibly sad. Catherine, pretty much all the big names. Catherine Tabor looks like reading a few of them. She was the voice of Padme, and James Arnold Taylor is doing a few, and Corey Burton.
They got Matt Lanter too.
Say that again. What?
Matt Lanter, I think they got Matt.
Yeah, Lanter. Matt Lanter is doing one. Hostage Crisis. Corey Burton is doing two. He's doing one because he's
they're narrating the entire story.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be multiple roles like an audio drama. Corey Burton did Dooku and Cad Bane, so he's reading a story of both of their characters. And Sam Witwer is doing some, or doing at least one that I see. Nika Futterman, who did Asajj Ventress, she's reading one. Olivia Hack, who played, I believe it was, I can't remember. I think she had a smaller role in Clone Wars, but nonetheless, that's really cool that they're able to get these actors to come back. It's very exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The audio drama for Dr. F are really good. Now I was going to say with the Clone Wars, I don't know if I couldn't remember if I pre-ordered that or not, but I definitely will dive into that. And of course, and I keep forgetting, it's not necessarily all news. There's no news stories, I think, right? They're kind of retelling of the
it's
Clone
like
Wars series from different angles
of the like Sam Witwer's the Darth Maul one. It's from the point of view of Darth Maul. That's that episode from his point of view.
I see. Yeah.
There might be. Who knows? Might be slight
differences. Yeah, sure.
Since it's from a character point of view, you might have a little slight interpretation of that, but for the most part, it's the episodes. They're all based off of one episode or an arc within the Clone Wars.
I will tell you what's really awesome is in the Afra audio drama, Catherine Tabor voices Princess Leia.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
I
mean, just making the connection. I would be totally okay with her voicing any kind of Princess Leia in any animated series, or some good stuff right there.
Totally.
That's some good stuff. I want to talk briefly before we get into the Cassian thing. I do want to mention this viral video that went out a couple weeks ago. And I think it was a TikTok video. And the guy, I think, in there switched the titles of the movies.
Yeah. That blew up, yeah.
He didn't create new titles. He just took the 9 titles of the episode and renamed them and mixed them up. And I find a lot of people were like, wow, this is really good.
And then there's, of course, other side of people who are just like, think it's blasphemy.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's fun I think that's really
it's really clever. It's really clever.
Very clever.
Those of you that haven't seen it or heard about it, we'll just run through them. And I forgot to write them down, so I'm hoping I'm getting my memory right. But so he switched episode 1, The Phantom Menace, to episode 1, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Which is pretty spot on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 2, from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
And then episode 3 is Attack of the Clones, which Order 66, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of fits. Then you have episode 4, instead of A New Hope, it's Return of the Jedi. I mean, close, that's coming back. Episode 5, instead of The Empire Strikes Back, it was The Force Awakens, which Luke really gets his Force powers, right? Which is pretty good. And then episode 6 was The Last Jedi.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's when he becomes the Last Jedi, right? Then you fast forward to episode 7. Now, this one at first I got it mixed up, but I think episode 7 was A New Hope, right? No. Yeah, I think it was, no. Sorry, no. It was episode 7 was The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Episode 7 was The Empire Strikes Back, which it does. It comes back as the First Order, right?
Yeah.
Episode 8 was A New Hope because Rey, Luke dies, and right, and then you have, of course, episode 9, The Phantom Menace.
That's crazy.
Which no one knew who was behind it all.
Yeah,
it was Palpatine, right? So, anyway, very interesting renaming. I thought. I don't know what you thought of any of those. If any
I loved
of those,
it. Yeah, I watched that video. Yeah, it was very clever, and then just reading all the feedback on it was fun too, because people are really passionate about the title, which is great. Because I just remember, like, in our conversations past, all these years, I think one of your issues with Return of the Jedi was that it's like the title of Return of the Jedi, at least.
Yeah.
Where they didn't really return. From what we know now, they didn't.
What we know now, correct.
It was just like a blip of like, I'm back, but really they don't do it. Luke doesn't do much of anything. So
yeah, it's like the title got retconned almost.
Yeah.
When the new series came out.
So now this makes more sense.
Yes. I mean, it made sense. I think. Yeah, I think George wanted to be.
Yeah.
The return of all the this Jedi is going to get rebuilt, but that's not how it ended up happening. But so I do think this mix-up does work. Especially, I actually love. I really do love episode 9 being the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
that is actually really good.
It's like, it's almost like I wish it's like with Clone Wars that they Phantom Apprentice, in that one episode. It's like I wish that was one of the titles of the movies, because I love that play on words. It's really fun.
Yes. Anyway, I thought that was really cool to mention, and I think it raised a lot of people's eyebrows about how everything was titled, and it actually works. I mean, it's pretty cool.
We talk about how the sequel trilogy, if they had worked together and laid those Easter eggs in episode 7 about Palpatine, that could have been the Phantom Apprentice or the Phantom Menace. And if you had gotten those little nuggets of like Palpatine is coming back, they really would have worked for something like that too.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Anyway, I think it's on Twitter also. People have been posting on Twitter, so you can go find it if you want to see that. But it's really, really clever. It got huge views. Okay, so the latest news, which hasn't been confirmed from Lucasfilm, of course, but it has been posted on most other news sites. Of course, the Resistance broadcast or Star Wars Newsnet, where I'm reading this from. The good folks over there. They're reporting that the Cassian Andor Disney Plus series has cast Adrena Arjona.
Well, I'm sure she says it in a cooler way, but I've been hearing it as Audria.
Okay, Adria Arjona. She is casted in a undisclosed role right now. But people may know her from most recently the 2018 Pacific Rim Uprising, which also starred John Boyega. But yeah, she's coming in the Cassian Andor series. So
I saw her in a Netflix movie. It was really good, called Triple Frontier with Oscar Isaacs.
Triple Frontier, that's right.
So, and she was good in that.
I can't really watch that. I haven't seen that.
I loved it. And because that's a good example of a movie that I'm not sure would have done well in theaters. I don't know, but for Netflix, it's perfect, and it is a good movie.
There's a lot of Star Wars people in there, right? Was it Oscar Isaac's in it?
Pedro
Pedro
Pascal.
Pascal too?
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar is in there. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
And now
so now
Adria.
there's 3.
So who could she be playing? Probably no one that's known to us.
Mm-hmm.
I posted in our Facebook group
mm-hmm.
whether or not she looked like anybody that we possibly know. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I definitely don't think she would be anybody from Rogue One. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't recast, obviously, Jin or anybody like that.
No, I hope it's a new character. I want just bring on the new characters.
Yeah, I bet you it's another spy type person in the Republic or something like that, or not the Republic, but the Rebellion. But let's talk about that, because that's kind of what I wanted to focus on. Really was, we haven't really talked much about Cassian Andor because we just haven't gotten anything. All we know is Diego Luna is coming back. We know Andy Tunick. Alan Tunick is coming back. There's some other cast members that have been added. I had it on my list, but I forgot to put it on here. Maybe you could look that up. But I know Genevieve that's playing Mon Mothma.
Yeah, that's right.
Announced.
Oh, I forgot Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Or is it?
I think he is confirmed. Yeah. I think he is confirmed. But you have a couple of other ones that have been loosely mentioned.
Yeah, there's a handful. And there's, just the producers, there's not much of crew, but
no.
Like Tony Gilroy, I think is on there.
He's writing
yeah,
and directing, I think, the pilot or so is what it's talked about. Now, what's funny is that because of the delays due to COVID, I think, they may not have planned on using the volume for this series, but I'm assuming they will now, which could change their production.
Yeah,
well, of course.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
I almost think every Disney Star Wars series is going to be using it. But as we talk about this, so we know Rogue One takes place right before Episode 4. The rumors of this series is taking place about 5 years before that, which is around the time the Star Wars Rebels starts, right? And at that point, there is no Rebel Alliance yet. Right. We know we know at what point that happens in the Star Wars Rebel series, which I think is maybe a year or two before A New Hope. So they're still operating as different rebellion cells, right?
It's very covert, yeah,
and somewhat disorganized in a sense. I feel like
it's just it's just they haven't had a unified force. They haven't the front yet. It's all just going to these little bases on these different systems. And the role that Cassian plays, it's like that operative role, I think, is what is really
the recruiting role.
Yeah, and it's really what's connecting they're going to call it the Alliance, whatever they're going to call themselves in this time period, but yeah, it's very much of a piecemeal kind of thing right now.
Because did I remember this right, or maybe I'm making this up? But did we learn somewhere that he is a fulcrum?
I think that was in. Yeah, we learned that, and I think that was in the was it Secrets of the Empire? Was it just mentioned that he's a fulcrum?
Oh,
or maybe it's an
encyclopedia. That might have been right.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a fulcrum.
He's a fulcrum, which it seems like these fulcrums are recruiters and secret allies that are trying to spread the rebellion. Now, that's the thing too, is as we learned from Rebels, most of these rebellions are happening locally on worlds, right? Lothal was where Kanan and Hera and Zeb and Sabine, helped help save those people. They were trying to save those people that were being oppressed by the Empire. Now, and then eventually they started connecting with other cells, and then that's what formed the alliance. So, what cell is Cassian? Has he begun with? Will we get a glimpse of what he talked about in Rogue One, which is I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Mm-hmm. You're the writer of this thing. What story do you think what story or stories do you think we're going to get from this? Now, what it seems like, here's the thing, because I think we got to think of this thing as a limited series. I don't think this is going to be an ongoing series.
Yeah, I think that's
like Mandalorian. I think it's going to be a little more like Obi-Wan, where it's going to be like 7 episodes, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So, what story would you tell in that?
Yeah,
or what story would you think we're going to get?
I mean, what makes the most sense is it seems like it would be that it would be almost like a James Bond or Born Identity type of just a spy. It's just like a spy show, really covert, different missions of him going to different systems and getting intel, getting small skirmishes, because that's the thing. It's you can still have battles with the Empire and stormtroopers, but right now the Empire, they're not an alliance, so the Empire it's just these little one-off fights. They're not having epic dog fights in space. They're not having these organized big missions. It's just it's much more small scale, which is perfect for, I think, a show. To have these smaller scale type of action sequences. So, but for Cassian, for his character, it seems like I want it to be something that just gets him to the point of Rogue One. So by the time we see him in Rogue One, he's not like we were saying with Han Solo. He's very much of a hardened soldier type of guy. He killed that one dude on that little asteroid outpost. So it's like that blew me away. I mean, that's how we were supposed to see Han Solo. Him just before the shot first thing happened. Then my opinion of Cassian at the beginning of that film really solidified. Like, this is kind of a gray, area kind of a hero, or kind of a like an anti-hero in a way.
Yeah.
Then he had the change of heart. But so I want to see that progression. I want to see him get put into those morally compromising missions and kind of sacrifice that side of him. It's almost like a show that would be much like the gritty side of this early stages of war, where he's kind of doing good in a sense of, it's like the ends justify the means. So it's like, so I think it could, Rebels kind of did that a little bit. You saw some things with Saw Gerrera and how he was very militaristic in his tactics. And so I think you can take that a little bit further with Cassian. Saying that, it's like, what if I was writing this? What I would do? I would throw Saw Gerrera in this. I would start to tie in this era. Like, I would have the partisans bring. I don't know what they're doing with Solo, but let's just say they're not doing anything. Bring Enfys Nest into this. I don't know. Like, who's to say that her group doesn't live on to this era, which is only like 5 years later or several years later, So I would start to tie in these other elements to make this era much more, feel like a whole, feel like a cohesive part of Star Wars, because it's all there. All those pieces are there. I don't think it would bring. I wouldn't bring Jen. I don't think it would make sense for her to be in the show unless there were two complete stories, and we've heard nothing of Felicity being in this show. So so meeting K2 for the first time, reprogramming him, that kind of thing. That'd be fun.
Yep. I definitely think the K2 meeting has to almost kick it off in a sense.
Sure.
Because I do think it's going to be a story centered around both of them. So I think that would probably be the early part of the series. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the line I think the line in Rogue One where he talks about getting in this fight when he was younger, I think that lends itself. I think it's possible we see some flashbacks.
Sure.
Of being a kid.
I think that was a rumor too, that they were casting young actors that could be him, and maybe like a sister or something. If Audrey is a relative, who knows?
Because I'm wondering if when he's 6 years old, does that mean that was around the Clone Wars?
Yeah, that was the speculation that he was kind of referring to that, the separatist movement.
Yep.
Because in his eyes, I mean, we got to think too. What does he know? What does he truly know about that?
Yep.
Because if it's like Saw Gerrera, he was fighting the separatists, and now he's fighting the Empire. So he kind of knows that. It's like what he worked alongside the Republic, but now he's fighting against what was the Republic. So I love all that kind of stuff. So it'd be great, if we got more knowledge in this show about kind of the wider galaxy. What does the wider galaxy know? What's the state of the galaxy? How are they handling this in the core worlds, if that's possible? If we see that kind of not the outer rim anymore, it's like how are the core worlds dealing with this?
So something I wasn't aware of, probably should look this up beforehand, but it's said that his homeworld is called Fest. Which is in the Outer Rim territories.
So that would make sense if he was wrapped up into the Clone Wars with
yes,
and all that stuff.
And definitely, which means there's probably a world that did, like you said, saw a lot of war during the Clone Wars.
Possibly.
Therefore, possibly something happened to his parents. Therefore, he has a grudge against the Separatists, what ultimately becomes the Empire. You're right. He obviously, because he fights for the rebellion, he obviously has something against the Empire. And that's true. Maybe there is something with Saul, but I don't think he knows him too well, or else they wouldn't have had to recruit Jyn, right, in Rogue One.
Sure.
But because it sounds like the methods that Saul ends up taking, obviously Mon Mothma, Bail, they're not really agreeing with that method. So, but Cassian somehow has that hardness about him, and almost unremorseful about what he does. And actions he takes. He just follows orders, right? Orders are to kill you or not get caught. It's going to happen any way. So definitely seeing that. So, maybe we see his homeworld of Fest, and we hear or see why he gets into the fight. I think that I don't think, if it's a limited series, which I think it is, I don't think it's going to span over a long period of time. I do think it's going to take place just within a week or a month. Whatever this main story is of how he, gets into, because we all know, I think it's safe to say we all know that he is already at this point part of the rebellion. So I think it's just one main story it is that he gets K2 and somehow takes the next step with the rebellion somehow. Maybe they're,
that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one thing we can't do, the one thing we can't do, right, is we can't, which a lot of people have this problem with Rogue One, which I'm actually not sure why, but some claim that in Rogue One the rebellion somewhat wins that victory, right? And I've read people arguing that it shouldn't have happened that way because it somewhat takes away the success they had in A New Hope with that victory, right? I'm not sure I agree with that, only because in the crawl, it clearly says they won their first victory.
It was the first, right? Yeah, you can't.
That's like, their first victory.
The Bible. You can't argue with that.
Right. So they haven't done anything against the Empire up until Rogue One. So in this series, there can't be any kind of victory, right?
Well, just like their first major victory, I think they're small. They have to be just small scale,
smaller ones.
Like,
yeah, totally.
That's what the thing is. Like, that's the first time you've seen this armada of ships fighting against them. It's like that. These guys were just like little pockets of just nothing, like small potatoes. But you're going back to a little bit. I like the idea of it being a smaller timeline, like a smaller arc, because I think of Mandalorian. I think it, probably I don't think probably it spans that long with time, but each episode can be kind of isolated from the others. Some more so, than others. But I didn't even think about this. Kind of lends itself, especially if it's a 1 season thing or a 6 episode thing. It might be a full arc, like one story, literally split up into chapters. So, and I like that, especially if it's like a smart kind of spy-ish type of thing. Like, you really need to have a complex story and tell it in these chapters, not just a quick 45-minute long episode that you move on to the next mission. So it would make sense that this is all happening. And I think we talked about this on an earlier show maybe, but I like the idea of possibly Mon Mothma's in it. You'd have to think Bail's in it. Bail's might be in it, and these other leaders, but I would love it if we got a reinterpretation of the deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith with the senators, with Padme talking about, but obviously Padme can't be there, but you have Mothma and Bail and some other senators. I would love to have that scene. So you have, it's all wrapped up, I think, in the same type of thing. It's this building up to an alliance, and I think what Cassian's doing is part of that mission, and then Mon Mothma's role, and it's like you have the political side, which it's think of I can't think of a better one right now, but like Captain America, Winter Soldier, it's like it was very political, very spy based, spy based, kind of like political thriller kind of a thing. So I love that. I kind of want that to be the theme of Cassian has his thing. He gets wrapped up into this mission, and then while you have the senators, doing their side of it as well, it'll be pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, because remember, again, in A New Hope, when we're introduced to all of the officers on the Death Star, where Tarkin walks in, and Tag and Mahdi are in there talking about the Senate and the sympathy that's growing in the Senate for the rebellion, right? It's like that's what we're talking about here. I think it's spreading, it's covertly spreading the rebellion, and how fast are I mean, because at this point it's been about 14 years, and Bail and Mothma
for sure
been slowly building that, but now you have all these different cells, and somebody, Cassian, could be the one that's going around and raising that sympathy
and like collecting intel and information, passing it along to different people. Because gosh, again, like you have such good opportunity to have those moments in the Senate that with like Masamita, openly rebuking him and Palpatine. Maybe even have Palpatine in it, or just a hologram.
That would be freaking awesome.
Again, like, what's the state of it? Is he always in these meetings, or is it strictly Masamita in the Senate here in meetings? So it's they can obviously write that to where they don't need Ian McDiarmid or anything like that, which they don't have to. But that is like canon gold for me. It's like I want to see that. I want to see that happen, and then. And I had another thought about it, but so stuff like that would be huge. And I think this show has the potential of doing that.
What if I just popped in my head, like, what if one of his missions or one of his goals was to sneak into like the Emperor's throne room and like get a recording of him.
You couldn't get out.
Well, I mean, or bugging that office, to try to eavesdrop on Palpatine's discussions. I don't know. It's just because again, like you said, what at this point do people yet know that he is a Sith?
Totally. That's what that's what's going to lead to is Cassian the guy that kind of spreads that like hey, Palpatine's a whole bad. He's the ultimate evil in the galaxy. We didn't realize this before. We kind of thought he was just a corrupt official, but no, there's a Sith temple under the under the academy or whatever. So like his throne room, there's a Sith temple under that. So that kind of stuff, But it's like if he himself gets too wrapped up into that, you would think that maybe Vader, would maybe get involved, or I don't know.
Or it's not a real possibility you see Vader either.
Yeah, or I mean, it would be so good if they brought Krennic back.
Yeah. Oh, again, gosh,
you don't have to.
Totally agree.
I mean, who's to say? I'm trying to think. I don't think there's a contradiction if he interacted with Cassian at like in a brief moment. I don't think there was anything there in Rogue One that kind of like said that this the first. That's the
I
don't
even think he saw him really.
He sees him. He shoots him. Doesn't he shoot him?
He shoots him. I don't know if you can tell who it is.
Right. Or like even it's. I mean, there's nothing there to say like that was the first time they met or whatever. But
right.
Tarkin and Krennic. It's just that. It's that.
I did hear a thing about Tarkin. Did you hear about that?
I'm sure there's a rumor. There has to be.
I think there's a rumor that they're going to have a scene with Tarkin.
Surprising.
Thrawn would be. Yeah, that's definitely possible too.
If it was just something like that, like this would probably never ever happen. But a scene where Cassian tries to infiltrate to the throne room, and he's witnessing a meeting between Thrawn, Tarkin, and Palpatine. Like,
oh my god!
Vader standing over there. He just like
people would go crazy.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any way he would survive that. I feel like something like Palpatine would sense it, or Vader would sense it, and it would be done. Or Thrawn would like notice something's weird about him and just be like, "You're a spy." So it would be. I don't think there'd be any way he could survive that.
Dress up as a stormtrooper or maybe an Imperial Guard or something.
Maybe again, like it's just there's no way. All that brain power in that room.
One thing you did mention about the if it's a limited series, one thing you did bring it up a little bit subtly, but I think the one thing about the Mandalorian is they are contained, even though it's a big arc.
Yeah.
But I feel like each episode ended, and it wasn't a cliffhanger per se, right? It wasn't like he was in the middle of shooting somebody and it just cuts. Or
there's only a couple episodes that did that. Really, I think.
I don't even know. Did any of them do that?
Like the second to last episode, which is where they were trapped, in the. When Quill was killed and it's like it ended like holy crap, what's going on?
That's right. You're
that
right.
Moment. I don't think there's really, even at the end of episode 1, really wasn't.
No, it was just him and Baby Yoda.
Saw Baby Yoda and that was it.
Yeah. But see, that's what I mean. Like it didn't end with the thing opening and then we didn't see what it was.
Yeah.
Till the next episode, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think you could do that with this series where there's a cliffhanger at the end and you got to tune in next week to see what happens.
Yeah. And this is straight up like, again, just because it's so recent, something like Stranger Things, or like where it is one story and each episode's like, it's like, why didn't they release all these out right now? So I can like see how it concludes. But
I need to binge this thing right away. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I do think that there's room for that, to do that. I think with the like you said, being a kind of a spy thriller, maybe, I think
I think that's it, man.
I do think so too. Because I don't think you can do that with Obi-Wan per se, right? I think that is more like Mandalorian.
Sure, could be.
And even though that is limited as
well. Mandalorian, the arc was just Mando and the baby and like keeping him safe. That's your arc. But just along the way, he's still trying to
planet.
He's still trying to do his thing.
Yeah,
get jobs and all that. But this has the potential to being like Jack Ryan, like something like that. That's
exactly
probably a better example.
That's exactly right. Yep. Like you really can't watch the 4th episode without watching the first 3.
Yeah,
like, you got to build up to that point.
Totally.
So, I'm excited about Cassian now.
Well, it's like, you're at the beginning of the show. There's nothing about this show. So all we have is just like speculation and thoughts. But we're hyping ourselves up now about it. So we'll see, which is good. But we'll see what happens.
Because we're not. I mean, we're not going to get anything on it. I don't think this year.
No, that's got to,
because I don't think they shot really anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been really surprised if we got anything at Celebration had to do with Cassian. Right. I think we would have gotten something from Obi-Wan, because they would have done something. I think this past few months if COVID didn't happen. But
absolutely, I mean, you can only hope that just this extra time has given them time to just to work it out more.
Yeah,
like you only have time to make it better. So,
that's right.
Hopefully they're looking now how Star Wars is changing. These stories are changing, and they are able to incorporate that movement, into giving us better stories.
I'm not sure you could ever stop tweaking a script.
Oh no! I mean, to the point where you're in a way overcomplicating it.
Yes.
Absolutely. But it's just making it a richer universe. It's like, okay, well now. It's like now Dr. Aphra is getting more popular now. So now do we want to incorporate her somehow into
that's right.
Mando future season 3 or even Cassian, like go before everything, like see her rising up even more. So, how can we make those steps to enriching the galaxy?
That's right. That's right. Okay, so that's our breakdown on first speculations for
on a show about nothing.
Yeah, so we'll when it comes out and we figure out what it is, that we can look back on this episode and be like, hey, we told you.
Like, they just listened to us. They were waiting around listening to these podcasts.
You actually had the best idea, information.
Yeah,
you just didn't know it.
Well, it's like at this point, I mean, I don't know what they have written. So they could definitely be lifting our ideas.
So, that's right.
So we need to copyright this episode.
Done this several times like this.
Yeah, we'll copyright this episode.
Yeah. Oh well, just give us credit. That's fine. Okay, everybody. Thanks for being with us. And go to, like I said, InsideTheForce.com. We've got a Facebook group I forgot to mention. So InsideTheForce.com, you can get to our Facebook group there, or Facebook.com/group/InsideTheForce, where discussions are going on and more will be happening. And again, on YouTube to watch us talk about this stuff or all the other stuff that we've got going on there. Expanding the Star Wars universe,
and we're putting the other shows on our feed, our normal Apple podcast feed.
That's right.
If you haven't noticed already, which if you're subscribed, you would have already seen all the updates.
And people have been retweeting some of those out, so we appreciate that. So like Casey said, all of our shows on YouTube are now going to be released also on our podcast feed.
Bonus episodes.
So I've caught up with what we had put out with the council sessions and the Beyond the Saga. I was releasing them every once in a while the past week or two. So now we are caught up. So all of the stuff that's on YouTube now is on our podcast feed. So if you're still, we actually got a couple questions about that. Hey, can I get this on the podcast feed? You can now. So I actually just released a council sessions yesterday. Me and Hannah, we did one as well back when we did the Beyond the Saga episode where we talked about, coincidentally, we were talking about Clone Wars earlier. We asked the question, what will you remember most about the Clone Wars now that that series is over? So what would you remember? What are you going to remember most about the Clone Wars
show?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not remember Ahsoka and her journey, but just the risks it took, mainly with Ahsoka and with Maul.
Yes.
That's, at least for me personally, that's what I'll always like to. Gosh, deciding to bring Maul back was such a big a big decision. That would have. I can't imagine being in that writers' meeting and my heart would have sunk. I'm like, are you serious right now? We're doing this? Are we doing this?
Yeah,
That's how it'd be. So what a, just overall, what a momentous time for Star Wars. Keeping it alive, pushing it forward. Without Clone Wars, who knows where Star Wars would be right now?
That's a great.
We probably wouldn't be doing the show.
We wouldn't be.
Who knows?
Agreed. So how I answered that? Well, you're gonna have to go to YouTube and find out.
Oh man.
Yeah, go check it out. And I'll tell you because I love the Clone Wars, so there's a lot of memories there. But there is one thing. There is one thing that stands out that I remember about it. Thanks, everybody. Go hit that subscribe button and go listen and subscribe to us all over on the podcast channels: Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple, all of them. So, or you can go to our website, which is getting redone here shortly. You can go there and actually listen to our episodes. We're on Libsyn now. Our RSS feed is there, insidetheforce.libsyn.com.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic and wonderful week. We'll be back next week to talk more Star Wars. He's Casey Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care. Stay safe. May the Force be with you.